Part of South Africa is that there's quite a divide between the bigger companies and their need to actually get involved in smaller entrepreneurial businesses. Whereas it seems in Tanzania, you actually have got a lot of buy-in from the bigger companies to actually support you in your entrepreneurial quest. So I would like to get a little bit more of a background if that is the case in Tanzania, whether you experienced that and how you experienced that.
I think if I were to go first with this one, because I've had experience with banks, I think it really depends on the industry. It depends on the industry, and it depends on the value that the bigger organizations see that the industry gives them. I mean, with tech, it's been very revolutionary in the past decade. A lot of companies in Tanzania think that this is the space to get invested in. So a lot of companies are. In the past, a lot of companies made bad decisions, and turned down a lot of would-be successes, and then they ripped such companies became successful without them, and they ripped the regrets. So right now, what they're doing is investing because they're looking for the long run. They're trying to get one over the other one. Because I don't believe any company would invest in anything they don't feel gives them a leverage over another, especially because of the competitors. So with the tech industry, I think most telcos especially are trying their best to get a foothold in the youth here. And what has happened in Tanzania is the tech industry is booming with youngsters. Everybody's online. Everybody wants something online. People are inspired by Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, even if the person is not a programmer, that's what they see, and these are the ads they see. So everybody wants to, like with TV, they want to be the company that is the tech, yes, the Eat Savvy company. Because if you feel that way, then they look at you as forward. You're forward thinking, you're relatable, you're youthful because you're techie. So with tech, it's a bit, I wouldn't say it's easy, but I think the fact that the value is obvious for most companies, it's a foot in already. Now in other industries, it could be a bit difficult. When it comes to, for example, with me, performing arts, when it comes to health, I mean, now it's a steeper hill to climb. So would I say that the culture is more collaborative? I think it's a capitalistic culture as any other, and I think it's really about knowing how to navigate and build relationships with the right people in the right companies, because most of the times you'd find that it's not necessarily about just stepping into the door and presenting an idea. Most of the ideas that really take off here, believe it or not, have by the aid of VTVI. The Tanzania Commission for Science and Technology has been a huge boost for many of the tech organizations actually making links with some of the telcos because they put their names behind these entrepreneurs. So what I would say is, I think we have it. It's as hard as anywhere else, but one of the great things I see is we have a lot more youth who are adamant to make change happen. So like for me, when I went to 10 banks, they told me that my ideas were great. And they would really be very successful. My company would be a multi-million-dollar company one day, but they couldn't give me the money because it's too much risk, and they could not invest. Now, yeah, so for me, I said, you know what, the first year of my business was self-funded. I went in my pocket, did jobs, tried to push it there. And you'd find many others just like me, who are just like, there's something that needs to be done, there's a problem that needs to be solved. We're tired of people we're tired of our people having to wait for solutions from abroad. Let's try to be the change that we need. And one day or the other, we know it's going to pay off. So it might not be now, it might not be yesterday, but I know it's going to happen somewhere, someday down the line.
Fantastic. Cut that one. So you start the new one here.
Yeah.
That's my question. So I know in South Africa we've got huge youth unemployment issues. We've got a social divide where we've got, I need to start over. So in South Africa, we've got a youth unemployment issue, and we are trying to encourage entrepreneurship as well. And the issue in South Africa is that we are, on the one end, a developed country, and then on the other spectrum, it's an underdeveloped country, and we need to bridge that gap, and we need to bridge the social divide gap, and we need to encourage our youth to become entrepreneurs. What would your advice be to our youth in South Africa?
So, it's true what you're saying. That also applies in Tanzania. So we also have this problem where there's a divide and between the haves and the have-nots, and then there's a problem in which there's a huge unemployment rate. Even in the health sector, which I mean, the government currently hasn't employed a pharmacist for the past 2 years. People are graduating, but they're not getting employed. And so this brings a big problem. At the same time, it also encourages entrepreneurship. You see, when you're not put into a position where you have to struggle, you don't end up becoming creative in that way. So in a way, it does that. Now, what I would advise is bankers. Like in Tanzania, I've seen how telecom has actually gone out of its way to see value in entrepreneurs and say, let's do this. Banks have not done that in Tanzania. Not at all.
There lies an opportunity.
Exactly. There lies an opportunity for banks abroad and in Tanzania to do that. Now, I would tell you an example of one of the biggest conglomerates in Tanzania, Mohammed Dewji Foundation. What they are doing is they are having their own entrepreneurship program like the telecom, in which they have a competition where entrepreneurs pitch their ideas, they come and then they help them. You see, the problem with banks is that you would come with an idea, and as the thing is, whenever entrepreneurs come with an idea, generally they don't look at the numbers all the time. It doesn't mean sort of money-making idea.
To Carl's point, the financials would come at a later stage.
Yes, it is a money-making point. But if banks had a person sort of, or had a department, or had a sub-department, in which they would actually look at an entrepreneur's project, see if it is a good idea, and if it is, then they'd be like, okay, this is a good idea. Let us help this person in terms of the finances, and then let's see how we can scale up the idea. And at the end of the day, I always had a dream, and hopefully in years to come, to be an angel investor. And I always had this dream because you see so many people coming up with beautiful ideas, and you're like, I want a piece of the pie as well. And that's what you want as banks. You want a piece of the pie as well. And any company wants that. But how do you get a piece of the pie if you don't put in the extra effort? You see, a lot of people, they were like, this is a good idea, numbers make sense and stuff. Okay, let me fund it, kickstart it, I want my return fast. But you got to put that effort, not only in terms of investment, but mentorship. And that's something that I wish if banks did. I'm telling you, we would be somewhere else in Africa.
So, Doctor, the banks are working on a derivative model. I know when I was in global business banking, one of the ideas we came, you need a Dragon's Den sub-team. You need a different investment committee that would look outside conventional risks and norms.
Yes, correct.
And this is why we say bankers, I think they're getting there. But what I like and what I've seen in the last few days is a big opportunity, and I'm going to talk to my Tanzanian F&B connections that we need to partner, we need to collaborate. But I think you've hit the nail on the head. You need to take enterprise development money, skills development money, put it into a pot and create a Dragon's Den pitching committee that says we're going to back you outside the banking norms of lending.
Exactly. And I'm a big fan of this Dragon's Den stuff. And you see how these ideas go from zero to a...
Have you done one in Tanzania yet? Not
no,
yet?
there is no. That's an opportunity, to have the Dragon's Den. And I've always thought there's something to do.
Yeah.
And you have that. People pitch. You put it on air. People get inspired. But at the same time, it's a very good idea. And it's the best way, actually, to get big returns from entrepreneurs. This is the best way of doing it,
It's actually amazing if you think about it. Banks already take so much risk. They are willing to take risk by giving you an overdraft to an individual or to something like that. So they are taking risk, but they're not placing the risks in the right pockets. So rather by providing someone with an individual overdraft or something like that where they're taking on the risk, why not put that money somewhere where there's an opportunity to actually get something out of that?
And my thinking is, a lot of entrepreneurs are young people. They have fresh ideas that are actually tackling serious community challenges in their societies. The biggest issue that a lot of us have is you have a great idea, it would do a lot of good, but the skill set, the desirable skill set that a banker thinks you should have had before coming to them, you don't have because the environment hasn't given it to you. You don't know how to. Now, if that were available, then what the bankers could do could say, okay, you know what, you have a great idea, maybe let's put you in an incubation program that we have going here. Then as you go from it, we're going to see how we're going to get loans, because the youthfulness in the entrepreneur gives you a long-term investment check, and then your returns, it's long-term returns. A lot of banks like to invest in the oldest, in old. I don't want to call them old people, but a lot aged businessmen because they've been their experience. But what happens is most of the times you miss out on every new thing that could have impacted so much more.
Then what I've seen mostly in the banking environment is that some of the niche players are actually killing the bigger banks in the commerce space, because they are taking the scraps that some of the bigger banks outrightly decline.
Yes.
And they say, we'll build a relationship with you. And the differentiator there is to say, where in the bigger banks you are a number and we will look at you based on a scoring model or whatever. They are applying a model of, we'll build a relationship with you. So we look at the more the quantitative aspects of your business than the numbers. So that's a space that needs to be tapped in by banks, and Zach, that's a good idea with your.
So we've got accelerators and stuff. So like a Kinu lab, where I was just sharing with Mo, we've got a few of these tech labs, but what we need more. So we've got things like innovation awards, accelerators, which do exactly that. They bring in an entrepreneur, a young person with a great concept, and pair them up with mentors, financial services practitioners. But we need to scale it. You know, you're taking 5 out of 5,000 is not going to get traction, but it's valid. We need to work. We need to work at that.
I don't know. If I was in your position, I'd say this is a better bet than the futures market or the share market. You say this is a much better bet. It's something you can control.
This is like a new instrument, better than equities and bonds.
Exactly, yeah.
This is something.
This is something.
I like the way you phrase that. This is the new instrument to invest in.
And at the same time, what you have the advantage is you have the benefit of you are a group of banks, these organizations, and then you have the Henley Business School which is there. So you have mentors from the business field who can come. You have a bunch of banks who can come together and invest in, and because you have that financial capacity now together as a team. So this organization can actually go back in South Africa and make this hub sort of thing, and then you have all these entrepreneurs coming. And the good thing about it is you have the power to vet. So you